All right, so this will be a quick walkthrough of my thoughts about moving forward with basically a learning center and online education. So we'll just have to talk about a couple of things here. First of all, I've come up with this little acronym, SCILL, the Support Center for Instruction, Learning, and Leadership. The idea behind that is fairly self-evident, although I will mention that the leadership concept here is key, because what I want to do is make sure that all our master instructors are recognized as such, are asked to help in the training of various new faculty and adjuncts, as well as I'm going to try to see if we can't create a culture where people take their best practices and go to conferences and present. So what will happen is I want it to be fairly common at the conferences around here that we tend to go to, that Blue Ridge is presenting. I know that Cheryl Fulgham at Haywood does a great job of bringing faculty for that purpose, and I want to do the same. So with that said, let's move into what we've had. I'll point out that we have, of course, our online department that focuses on the LMS, MyCourses. And Jason came in after there was a period where there wasn't a whole lot of structure to that, and added structure. And there was an enormous amount of problem solving and setting up some systems to make sure that online learning was functional. And he did a stellar job. And now as he's moving out, we have been talking a great deal about changing the parameters for what our vision is to help instruction more broadly, because the online component really is just a tool belt, a map of a lot of things that are already being done in face-to-face classes. So it's a combination of online learning and also broader faculty support. I will point out though real quickly that the way anybody makes any plans on faculty support is they start with the faculty. So if I have department input coordination, that is key to everything. If I don't have department heads, and if I don't have folks that have all agreed, that buy in that we need this, that this will be a service that will help them make their job easier, add continuity across departments, and add continuity across classes, then clearly we're not doing the right things. I'll point out that we've got to focus first on making sure we have faculty input and department head input initially. So I'll put that to the side, and then I'll come back to really, so what we're talking about is this Center for Leadership and Learning and Instruction is all about taking that and then breaking into these couple of pieces. So we have some faculty support piece in that. So let me just go into specifically what that will look like. I see the center basically working with online learning and also informing them and assisting them, but they're largely separate devices. So we'll just take a look at what those are real fast here. So basically, we're going to see that faculty orientation is something that has to happen every year. Okay, so that's one of 3 items that we're going to be looking at. Okay, we're going to need to both have the online version, and we're going to have the in-person version, and both of them should be just spot on, the best thing we can do. They should demonstrate best practice in instruction. Okay, we also have student orientation. So this year, I was talking with, I believe, Laura Simmons, and there's a site for student orientation that she wasn't very happy with, and I stepped in and I worked on a little bit. It comes out looking like this. And now with that, you still see that we have a long way to go there to really make it really sharp, and everyone's going to see this who comes here. We want this to be our best foot forward, obviously. But then we also have adjunct orientation. And what happened there? Well, Brenda came to me and she says, what am I going to do? She has this idea for a site to accommodate that. So what we did, went out, interviewed everyone, really trimmed down what they were doing there, and put it online. It didn't work. It wasn't completely smooth, but that was our first effort. Moving forward, I would argue that we should do both. We should have the online, we should have the face-to-face. And that this office, Leadership and Instruction, should be in charge of that as well. When I say in charge, I don't mean bossing, I mean coordinating and putting our skills to the test so that the things that we do there show great instruction, because everyone who's going to come here, everyone who's going to instruct here, it's important that the adjuncts see how well we do it, and also that they have ongoing support as they move forward, which I'll talk about in a moment. Okay, so combined with that, we have faculty orientation, student orientation, we have ACA, and the support and the planning with ACA, where Jack Eigelman has done this tremendous job with ACA. We see that it should be informed by what's going on in orientation because they're hand in hand. And the same material that is used in the Adjunct InfoFest and also the student orientation is elaborated on within ACA itself, so we developed some of that material and brought that over into ACA. And then as we move forward, that too changes a little bit, and as he's sharpening that, we want to be part of that effort so that they're feeling the support and we can help generate materials and come up with a system so all of these inform one another. And then in the corner you'll see there's student advising. Advising is this crucial part that should be introduce it. Everyone should know about it. The faculty, obviously, many of them, our advisors do. The adjuncts may not. And we add that to the mix here so that at every point, our adjuncts, our faculty, and our students all understand what the advising role is and how important that is. Online and the LMS basically has a couple of features. Clearly, there's some administration of the website, the big design issues there that Leah Knowles has been handling along with Jason, but Leah is spectacular. And I believe strongly that Leah should move forward in that role, being over MyCourses more broadly. And that includes the faculty technical stuff. Faculty calling and saying, hey, this button isn't working. Hey, this isn't functioning. Those are technical questions. But then beyond that, once you get past the technical questions, there are a whole other set of needs you've got. First of all, we are looking at faculty who need support. These are often our new hires. So the first 3 years especially, we're going to focus on them as a unique group. And we're going to have some supports set up with team leaders, with faculty leaders, as well as instructional design people to help them. And I'll talk about that more in a moment. Then we have faculty who are here who are really doing well, who are functional. They don't need as much support. And we might have some faculty that have been here for a while who are struggling. And we need to help them and help the department heads try to help them. But the third group we have are our faculty leaders. The faculty leaders are these individuals that we all know. They step up consistently. They should be not only stepping up in-house, they should not only be able to help other faculty, they should be supported for that. They should be somehow reimbursed for that at some level, and really encouraged and basically be made public so that we can see best practices from our best instructors. On top of that, I've been saying that we should probably try to get it started that we go to conferences consistently, that Blue Ridge shows up at these conferences with our team leaders and they present. And word will get out, and it already has, how terrific Blue Ridge is doing compared to some of our sister colleges, although we're still in the same boat with them. Okay, with that said, let's talk about course templates per department. Right now we've been problem solving. We should have some templates set up at this point that are directed by, once again, faculty input and department ideas on what they want that to look like, so that not every time someone logs in, they get sort of a different understanding of how this works. We need to set up some standards and then reinforce those standards. So by doing that, we could do things like, for instance, this right here shows one of our instructors, Rachel Marsom, has put together an English course, but she's themed it with the popular game Life. Now, this is an interesting theme, and it would work as a standalone for one course or another, but there's no reason we couldn't have a whole lot of different themes as appropriate or interesting to sort of draw students in and make them stand out. And this is basically a pretty cool theme, and you can do some theme courses. Not everyone's into that, fine, but we have a little catalog that shows, hey, here's some ways to look at this course and design this course, and you don't have to do it from the ground up. So we have course templates per department, and then we are helping faculty with broad course planning, especially those who are new, our faculty have only been here a couple of years, or our adjuncts, and we help them with course planning from the ground up, so we don't end up with some kind of sprawling massive courses that are a conglomeration of great ideas these people had that don't fit into a course. And very often we'll get adjuncts who are great, who are very skilled at their job, who haven't instructed before. Well, how are they going to know that? Well, they'll have a course style sheet per department, and that's going to help them understand what we expect. Now, if you're doing this online or face-to-face, I would argue it is still an outline. It's a course style sheet. Here's what we anticipate. Here's the philosophy. Here's the goals. Here's what we expect you're going to do. And in the first 3 years, we'll be able to measure that and make sure people are keeping up. Okay, but that's still part of this leadership team. With that said, the next thing we're going to look at is right here. What we're going to see is that our new hires, day one, we're reaching out to them, okay? That's crucial. And then, of course, as I said, there's 3-year support set up for our new hires. And we really focus on those, but the department heads can still reach out to us and say, hey, I have this instructor who's really struggling with this part of instruction, or they're terrific at their job, but they're struggling instructing. We reach in and we assist in that regard too, but that is outside of sort of technical LMS stuff, obviously. Okay, what else we have? As I said, we have the adjuncts from day one. They have that orientation that is just killer. It's great. And then we work with them as they move forward. Some of these don't come on contract, while essentially their class is starting. So we have to give them something to start with, and they can fill in the blanks, but they shouldn't feel that they're on their own. So there's prep and support that we're doing with the adjuncts as early as possible, and we'll have these materials set up. So those are some ideas that we're already doing a little bit of, but what we want to do is be a little bit more comprehensive and intentional. Then we also have, in conclusion, we also have like equipment in classrooms. So we have, for instance, the studio that several people are using, right? So we have Rich Keene, who's under marketing, who's working here, does great stuff. And then we have Charlotte Taylor and some of that film group who's under Deb DeWitt. And they're also terrific. And then I'm sort of shouldering in here to try to get some more faculty use out of the spot. And it's been tough because there's so many other departments. We need coordination. We need to have some kind of way of saying, you know, yes, this is important. So for this time, Brenda said, hey, with this CARES Act, we could really do some meaningful things. So as you can see here, we put lights up in the studio, and we replaced a bunch of dimmer packs. We replaced the boards, and now the studio is functional for Rich, for Charlotte, for other people. And of course, added to that is the light board itself, which is a terrific tool that can be used across departments. And with the funding that Brenda brought, and it's living in the studio, it's really an exciting opportunity for a lot of people to find another way to teach, much as I am today. And that's what we need, is be able to coordinate that, as we have been doing this last year, sort of on our own, if you will. Okay, then the next thing, we also have class setup. Every class has different parameters, different things you need, and then some instructors are using Wacom tablet, some people are using different techniques, and when you go from face-to-face to online, there's a lot of use cases that repeat. And there's no reason that we should not be able to be instructing and helping faculty with that in-class stuff, because I've gotten countless calls of people who are having trouble setting up their course or rather their class in the room because they're trying to look at their monitor and have a second one behind them, and it's confusing, and they need assistance with that really IT should not have to provide, because they don't always know how to anticipate what faculty will need. Okay, they've just been terrific. And then by and large, when we move forward with this next building, I would also argue that this same team could work out and start talking about the plans and how these are going to be set up, and does it match what faculty and department heads need. Okay, that was a real speedy look, but ultimately what I'm talking about is this umbrella that covers all these phenomenal faculty, but also helps these departments work well together. While we're not ignoring or leaving online behind, on the contrary, all the rich media and all those kind of activities will inform face-to-face, and they'll also inform online stuff. And if you have something you can use year after year, semester after semester, and you have to refresh it like every 3 or 4 years, well, that's not a tool, that's a system. With that said, I appreciate your time, and I hope you agree with some of this anyway. Have a great day.